Northern Ireland. I'm coaching Rita.
Well, hey, we're live, y'all. Hey, little football manager talk as we got ourselves going here. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for checking us out on some new channels. Some as we expand the universe here, and I'm just gonna throw up some things for us to just have going on here in the background here as we talk about FC Dallas, soccer. So, well, thanks for joining us here at Big D After Dark. I'm Nathan, and you can follow me at Nathan J Hill. And in the middle, he doesn't have his camera hooked up, but it's none other than Bird Turgler, represented tonight by a garbage truck catching on fire and exploding. And then finally there at the end, you can follow him at Bird Turgler, Ben Lyon at Bird Turgler, and then at the end is Jose Carmona at El Chico Carmona. So thanks for joining us tonight, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or Periscope or whatever. Send in your comments, your questions. We'll throw them up here live. And that's right, like the garbage truck on fire exploding is fitting because this past week was another miserable week of action for FC Dallas fans, for lovers of FC Dallas soccer, with just 1 point, one measly point from two away matches. First at Nashville SC, who have seemed to just figured out how to handle FC Dallas, and then 1 point at Real Salt Lake, managing to get a 0-0 draw on the road. No goals this past week. The offense has dried up. It's a mess. It's not pretty. It's not good. So if you all have questions or comments about FC Dallas soccer and you want us to talk about them, vent, moan, complain, whatever it is you need. Take your mind off the world of politics and the dumpster fire that is our nation right now, and let's talk FC Dallas soccer. All right, so Ben, I know we can't see your image there. I'll take off and reveal a couple of Cobra. Oh, how we miss Cobra. Just give me your thoughts on these past two games for FC Dallas.
Well, so for one thing, I don't think Nashville was quite as grim as it was portrayed, even though it ended up being 3-0. I mean, like the first two goals were deflected, and sometimes them's the breaks. Really thought that they missed Thiago Santos a lot in that game. He would have been nice to have there. Maybe would have been able to break up those attacks, and who knows, maybe that's a different game. Probably like the most dispiriting thing that I saw was that first half in Utah, where I mean, like it was a miracle that they didn't get obliterated, but they hung in there, and they kept it scoreless at half, and they looked really good after the first half in Utah. Like, I mean, they could have snatched a point, and they looked pretty comfortable keeping RSL at arm's length. So it wasn't all that horrible. And with playoffs, it's going to be a lot more cagey. So, like, if you can duplicate what you did in that second half regularly in Salt Lake, then you probably will at least have a chance. Obviously, like they're going to need their stars to make some plays that they have not been making as of late. But there's reason to believe that they can. So that's my sunny, optimistic take on last week, even though it was 1 point and generally crappy.
We'll take it. I mean, we'll take it. We'll need some optimism right now. You're right. An away point is never bad. Jose, you want to weigh in? Oh, but we got no audio on you, Jose. Go ahead, take a moment here, figure it out. Oh,
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Anyway. So, I think if there's a positive to take out of what we saw in these last two games is you saw a change in what FC Dallas was trying to do from the Cincinnati game where they were trying to be proactive and trying to play their style against the team sitting in a low block and not getting anywhere like they've done all year. And then fast forward to RSL, and even though they didn't look very good, they obviously looked pretty bad in the first half and better in the second half. You got to take into account that they changed their tactics completely and were playing in a low block themselves in the second game, which is what they're going to have to do in the playoffs on the road. So they kind of, I think they learned their lesson saying, hey, we're not going to have success on the road trying to enforce our style. Let's face it, they need to start playing treating these road games like playoff matches and sitting back and playing defensively. And I'll tell you right now, the only players that look bad in my account are the attackers. The attackers look non-existent, but look at the defenders. The back line looked good. They didn't allow a goal, so that's good. Tessman, Santos had a strong game. Ricarte had a solid game. I mean, defensively, mind you, not offensively. So it didn't look very sexy because they're not used to playing the low block. So of course they're not going to look like, they're not going to look like Nashville, who's used to playing in it. So, and it's good that they do that now. They need to start playing. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the way they play their remaining road games, trying to eke out a point in each one, and I'm okay with that. They need to do that. They need to understand that once they get to the playoffs, this is MLS. It is rough to get a point on the road. So I'm not happy about what happened in Nashville, but I am satisfied with what happened in RSL.
Yeah, you take an away point in this league. I think I saw a quote from those who follow Minnesota United, that Adrian Heath always says, never underestimate an away point in Major League Soccer. And I think that's true for FC Dallas. Although I think what's concerning for fans is you have to go back to the Sporting Kansas City win for a goal. So you've had two games where the team just didn't generate enough, a few opportunities perhaps that should have been better taken, but yeah, it leaves you wondering, a team, and especially a formation, a strategy that Lucci, that we were hoping that Lucci was going to build in this team to create really juicy opportunities, and it's just not working. Even with an attacker like Ricarte and a proven veteran striker like Jara, and Barrios for that matter, is just having a terrible year. So, my thing is just we're just left with so many questions at this point in the season. I don't see how it's going to magically click all of a sudden. I think the team's going to have to, maybe what you guys say, go for more of a counterattack style, and figure out, how to just get something done. Just get a result on the road, get a result at home, even if it doesn't look pretty. I mean, and that kind of was the Sporting Kansas City game too. It wasn't exactly pretty, but they got 3 points. A few weeks ago we were really high on Ricarte. How are y'all feeling about Ricarte at this point?
I generally feel fine about Ricarte. I would like to see more. I know there's more there. I see it, in games where like he just weaves himself out of trouble, like Mauro Diaz, and I see flashes of that, but I don't see like the whole deal. And maybe that first goal against Houston was kind of fool's gold, because it usually takes players a little bit to get used to the league. It's not that uncommon for a player to struggle a little bit. I also personally would like to see him playing closer to goal than he does right now, which Brian Dunseth mentioned on the match, and I think that's intentional. The way that FC Dallas has been playing for the last couple of weeks. But I mean, like I would kind of like to see him. Would like to see him closer to goal to provide that danger closer to goal to like help out these attackers because they need the help right now so bad.
I'm fine with Ricarte. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still a mid-season acquisition, and you have to think that some of the struggles are him still learning his, teammates around him, how they're what they like to do, and them getting to know what he likes to do and can do. And I think you're gonna have to expect these uneven performances, at least for the rest of the year. Maybe he'll pick up. There's always a chance that he'll turn on once the playoffs comes on. So, no, I'm still okay with him. I still think he's not the problem. In all honesty, we still got that massive left hole on the left wing. Hara isn't producing, and the last two games also both wings in all honesty were non-existent. So what can you do if you're attacking midfielder? In Nashville he was forced to sort of play further back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I'm just saying it's he can only do so much unless they're going to make him the focal point of the attack, which I don't think they've committed to yet. So yeah, I'm still okay with where he's at. I mean, we're talking. Is he a DP signing? I'm not sure.
I don't think he is he?
He's not. Our DPs are Hara, who has not played up to DP level. Mascara, sorry, Jose, but has not played up to DP level. And Brian Acosta, who has also not played up to DP level. I would say Ricarte has been more impressive than all three of those people, and probably more deserving of the tag. But here we are.
Yeah.
I want to say that that the big winner from this whole two game play, if there is a winner, it's Tessman, who started both matches, and okay, he didn't look great, but he started over Santos in Nashville, which was a big,
right,
race.
Right.
And then started over Acosta against RSL. And since Santos looked great and Tessman looked solid, you have to wonder if that's going to be the pairing going forward, with Acosta being the odd man out in that. So with your midfield, it's going to be basically Tessman, Santos, and Ricarte. And don't forget, they've been shuffling the midfield so much that it's very hard for a guy like Ricarte, who's still new to the team, to get a rapport going, because he's always has a different set of midfielders next to him. So they need to settle on three. And right now, I say after these last two games, I would say Acosta is the odd man out in this. It's going to be Santos, Tessman, and Ricarte going forward. And we need to see that. We need to see the same three midfielders starting every week, so that the team can start looking, cohesive.
Yeah.
Well, Acosta is in the infirmary right now, so
that's what yeah. Well, hey, and
that's also he's starting to be like Mascara too, like where he's kind of hurt all the time, and so
that Tessman and Acosta didn't look good together, but Santos and Tessman did, and I mean, let's say you got to figure out what the pairings are, and Tessman, Acosta don't work quite as well together as Santos and Acosta and Tessman. So far from what I've seen.
Well, the other positive thing that Tessman brings by being on the field is that he gives the commentators something else to talk about other than the time Ryan Hollinshead got hit by a car, right? And saving a life or whatever Brian was doing. It's so amazing. Tessman, he turned down a scholarship to kick for Clemson football, So that's the other positive thing, because this team, the way they were playing, we need to give something for the announcers to talk about. But yeah, Tessman and Brian Reynolds are the two the two rising stars for this season that we probably didn't really necessarily predict at the beginning of the season. But Tessman,
Well,
came out of the gates and
some people were high on Reynolds because we all felt that Cameron was going to be here. We all knew that Reynolds was next up. So there were hints about Reynolds. There was no hint whatsoever about Tessman. Tessman is the same thing that happened with Cerrillo, except he hasn't petered out like Cerrillo did.
Mm-hmm. Well, we miss Paxton. I think that's the reality from these two games. The other positive is that we saw Bresson get more minutes, and he, I think the jury is still out of whether he is just a great squad piece or if he has a future as pairing next to Hedges after Redo.
Let me ask you a question. If you enter next year with Hedges starting next season, and you have Hedges in the back line, and you only get to keep either Ziegler or Bresson, who do you keep?
Bresson.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's a no-brainer. But then I'm also asking. I've liked some things I've seen from Nkosi Burgess, and so I'm like, I'm gonna let it be a battle.
Here's the thing, though. I know that a lot of people are really high on our young center backs, Che and Burgess and what's
Montgomery.
His name? Montgomery. But you gotta have another veteran presence there. You can't just pair Hedges with a bunch of young guys, because if they don't pan out, then you're left without a safety blanket. So you gotta have. Bresson's proven that he can be a solid rotation piece. At worst, he hasn't complained. He hasn't moved. So I say, what I'm thinking is, you got to keep one of those two veterans, Ziegler or Bresson, not both, because that will ensure that the young guys get their minutes. So hopefully one of them rises to the top and forces them out. But if they can't, you don't want to take out that safety blanket. You're hoping that one of them or two of them are a year away, but they might be 2 years away. So.
Sure.
So that's my only problem with that. I know some people are like, Bresson is slow and Ziegler is slow. Get rid of both of them. You can't. You've got to get rid of one, but not both.
Well, here's the thing. Bresson, I think you still have under contract control, and he's still in that age range, like the sweet spot for a central defender. And he's got some flex, and he's good in the air. He's a good player to have around.
Yeah,
he's also cheaper than Ziegler too.
His weakness is the same as Ziegler's in that they're both not the fastest. They're slow. Both of them are.
Well, Hedges is slow too.
Hedges is slow, but he makes up for it with his size. He's his positioning. He's, no one ever accuses him of being slow. You can tell other teams are targeting Ziegler, for example. You do not see that against Hedges.
Right.
So all I'm saying is, I would say if I had to choose next season, Ziegler, I'd keep Bresson. But if you're going to get rid of both of them for some reason, you say, hey, they're both slow where they need to go, then I expect a veteran center back signing that is starter quality to replace the two of them. It's clear that we need an upgrade.
That's fair, and one of the little clips I wouldn't have mind gotten just to throw up here would be Redo just basically laying down on one of those Nashville goals. I think the last Nashville goal, just not a career defining moment for him. Not a great. That field was a mess, though. Nashville, that field was a mess, but not the greatest. It was a sign for Redo that the game is going to get only faster and faster as he matures. And he's been a great player. If he is a sort of a sub squad type guy next year, that's fine. But yeah, I think you're right. There's going to be an opening for a starting center back next year, and it's a matter of who wants to take it. And so Bresson, we got to see him in some action, and he is really serviceable, and he's a competitor. He gives you some flexibility on that back line. But I don't think we've seen we've seen some good things from him. I don't know that I'm convinced that he is for sure the next in line.
And that's just it. Just look at the rotation. Brazan as your main substitute has gotten plenty of minutes. Now envision that next year, whoever of the young guys steps forward would get those kind of minutes, which would give them plenty of opportunity to prove that they deserve to be full-time starters. So, I like Ziegler. I like everything he does. I'm still, I would be happy to say he took a pay cut to stay as a that that veteran, in case of emergency starter, present. That would be great. But definitely, I think one of the issues that has been proven by teams like Nashville who want to just counter you is that they are trying to isolate Ziegler and go at him. Because if you can get past him or get him turned, you're going to score.
Well, let's shift one last topic, and then we're going to move on and talk about North Texas, and then maybe think about playoffs, which we've already talked a little bit about. But let's just talk about what happened on Tuesday night when Hara was subbed off, and just a little moment there with head coach Luchi Gonzalez, not shaking his hand, frustrated, which makes sense. It's good to see that in a player that you're frustrated coming off in a game where you feel like you could have made an impact. And it sounds like by all accounts they have patched things up. So, how are we feeling about Hara at this point, Ben? Is he dressing up as Christian Coleman for Halloween? Is that what's going on here? I don't know.
I'm really not sure. The jury is out on him. I mean, it totally is. I mean, like I've seen some craft out there, and like it's actually like the kind of thing that sets up well for playoffs and big games. Like I think the guy can score in a big game, but missing the wide open headers and like easy point blank chances, I've seen him miss too. It's really frustrating because FC Dallas should probably be, I want to say, like 4 to 8 points better than they are right now. If Hara had been efficient with his chances, because he's had a lot of good chances, and he scored some too. I mean, he's got 5 goals. It's not horrible, all things considered, but anyway.
The Hara struggles, they kind of amplify how much Cobra is being missed. It's if you think about it, it's like another hole in FC Dallas in the roster to realize that the guy behind Hara is Pepe. There's no other veteran presence there to come in the closing minutes, and I think that's where Hara was getting worked up. Is no star player wants to get subbed out for an inexperienced kid. You're telling him that this kid's going to come in and do more than you. I mean, that's I'm just saying that's kind of insulting, So I can see why he was upset. I don't think he would have gotten that response if you had Cobra or another experienced guy who hey, they offer a different look. That's what they say.
Yeah. I mean, like, I see what you're saying there, but it seems like whatever the discomfort there was managed okay. Like I thought Pep, or not Pepe, Hara played pretty well in RSL. Like the not scoring part. Yeah.
I'm just saying it would be nice to have that veteran option next to Hara that we lost with Cobra. I mean, we lost Cobra. It's not bad. It's not so bad that we lost Cobra. It's that we didn't replace Cobra.
Sure.
You lost Cannon. You replaced him with Reynolds. You lost Jesse, and you had Mar ready to go. You lost Cobra, and you did nothing. I mean, I wish they would have brought in an MLS veteran or somebody. I'm just saying that's important. Look at Pepe is struggling, as you should expect from a young player, and I'm just saying it would be nice to have another veteran option that would take the sting off of Howard having to be cold or to pair up top if you want to go to striker or something. I think Howard will come around. You see the little things. You got to look at players and say, are they doing the little things right? And Hara is, and he has a proven record of finishing. So it'll come around. It's also another half season addition here, you know. So it takes time.
Hara is slow though. Like he's not gonna break on the counter, and I mean, you know, if we're gonna bunker and do playoffs positioning like that, then you know he might not be the guy that you want leading the line because he's not fast at all. He's really slow.
That's my fear too.
But he is tricky, and he's one of these guys that while not fast, shouldn't be given any space. You know, so he's a guy that makes up for that through other things, and him being out there would keep the defenses a lot more honest. You know, would keep those teams from pushing too far forward because, like you said, yeah, sure, he's not fast, but he will still burn you.
Well, that's my fear too. I just think he's being misused. He's up there all alone right now, and it's just not helping him. He's not going to be able to create by himself, and so I hope they figure something out. But this is just where we are, where the team is, and so we'll keep watching. And you know, FC Dallas will be back in action Wednesday night against Inter Miami at home, and so 2 home matches this week. So hopefully we'll be talking a little bit more positively next week, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's just talk about North Texas real quick, because while FC Dallas has been playing poorly, and while this maybe hasn't been the best season for North Texas, but they have been incredible. They have been incredibly fun to watch. They've been aggressive, attacking, creative. I'm just so impressed by both Eric Quill and this squad of young, exciting talents who, you know, some of whom may be able to break into MLS, some who may have other pathways or may be at their level. We just don't know. But it's been so exciting to watch. But of course, at home on Saturday, they did what they needed to do. But Omaha was able to get a win at home and then punch a ticket to that final game, that final championship game. So see Dallas just on the outside looking in. They can look back at some results that were draws that should have gone the other way, but you're just really proud of this team for the fight they put together, for players like Nkosi Burgess coming in, and Eddie Munjoma, Nicky Hernandez, all these kids coming in and just making a statement and really helping the team push. So what do we take away from this season, Jose? What's the bright spot from this?
The bright spot from this is that North Texas learned something about itself, in that it had to play the first half of the season with almost no assistance from their parent club. Really, I mean, you're talking about a team who last season rotated the most players of any team in the league, and still ran away with the league because they were getting at least 5 players loaned to them from the senior team, and they were getting up to 7 kids loaned to them from 7 different kids each time out, by the way, from the academy. So their game plan was to only sign about 13, 15 players to their roster, and then the academy and senior club would provide the rest. But because of the whole COVID situation, they didn't get that expected. They only had like 3 academy kids signed to their roster, their academy contracts, and they would only get 2 or 3 guys from the senior roster, and they wouldn't get them at all on the road. So most of the times when they went on the road, they were shorthanded. They had maybe 2 guys on the bench. I mean, limited options. So they fell behind on the road. They there was nothing they could do other than play through it and figure it out with the existing people they had. And that changed in the second half of the season when they basically let go of several players and they dug into that college group of players that FC Dallas has. Because people, underestimate how many college players with FC Dallas Academy ties there are. So North Texas was able to go and grab Bonilla and Nicky Hernandez. And Hernandez, I mean, everyone's talking about Arturo, and deservedly so, but Hernandez to me was the big jaw-dropping addition where he came in. I mean, and he literally started that same week, and Texas went on that undefeated tear. I mean, it was nobody was really talking about how impressive a signing that guy was. And I think that's the thing that North Texas learned from this year is they simply need to sign a slightly bigger roster next season, maybe 18 players on the roster, where they can stay 15, but they can't loan anybody out like they did with Evans and Arturo. So they need to simply make sure that they are set and don't take for granted that they will be getting help from the senior team and the academy. And I think they'll be fine, because basically that's what killed them was the lack of depth for the first half of the season. And once they got full strength, it was just like last season. Once they got to full strength, they just started doing what they were doing last year. One last thing. This was talked about. I don't know if you guys knew about it, but back on the 19th of September, North Texas hosted Tucson, who they had just crushed in Tucson, right? They had just played them the week before, actually, on the 12th in Tucson, and they beat those guys 2-0. And then they were close to them, and it was like, man, easy win. That's the game where Cerrillo
got red carded.
And
that's right.
Texas managed to get a point from that. So that red card may well have cost the team that championship title spot, because let's face it, if Cerrillo doesn't get sent off, they get 3 points from that game, and they win the tiebreaker over Union Omaha. They're in the final. So that's just to his credit, Cerrillo actually played well down the stretch after that. But that was kind of how he played the first half of the year. He was just basically nothing. This is that big time senior roster addition. And after that suspension, it did actually turn him around. Maybe it's the fact that he added reinforcements and better depth. So Rio started looking like semblance of his old self in second half season. We can expect this again next year. I keep telling people, North Texas has more resources available to any of the teams in USL League One because of the best academy in MLS, a team that builds through the draft and through their academy, so they have a ton of potential loanees to send to them every week. And because of all the kids they have in college that could simply decide to turn pro, and they can say, hey, come play for us. We'll get your foot in there. That's just something that no other team, none of the independents have it. None of the other MLS teams can match that. And it's just something that should keep them in the top. I'm happy that they finished top 3 because any other year that's the playoff. That's a playoff. The playoffs are usually 4 teams, and North Texas would have basically been the 3rd team. So I'm very happy with they finished. I'm sad they didn't get to the final, but I'm happy the way they finished strong, looking like we knew they could.
Good stuff, Jose. You're right. I mean, Ben, anybody you saw from this squad this year that you think should get a look with FC Dallas next season?
Well, I mean, Nicky Hernandez played pretty well. I don't think he was even like an academy guy. I think he was just an SMU guy.
I think he played for Texas, honestly. So that's the other thing, believe it or not, that they can also draw from the Texas SC people, that academy, or their college kids through Quill. So, like I said, their resources that team has available to them are just more
Yeah,
than they more than any other team can manage.
yeah, it was just like a frustrating season all around. Breck Evans, he got hurt before that. Like he was supposed to go play in Austin, and that didn't work out because of the coronavirus. Same thing with Arturo. Um, David
So
Rodriguez didn't progress this year. I mean, there's a lot of things that did not work out this year. It's just been a funky year.
I'm glad you brought that up. But I want to say right now that I always thought those two loans were bad loans. And for one, Arturo got loaned out to Real Monarchs. They play like rude, no creativity, big burly. They don't use players like Arturo at all. That's why he couldn't get in the field, because you know he's completely wrong for what that team wants to do. And the same thing with Evans. Evans went to a team that had two returning starters at center back. They were still with the team, and their third choice center back, also there, was also with the team. So he was at best the fourth option of the team, and he would have to beat out one of these established veterans to get any minutes. And because of the COVID, less game, less minutes. So it was just basically just bad. The loan locations were not good for these guys, and I hope that FC Dallas learns from that and doesn't just loan them out. They got to look at the team and go, yeah, we like that you guys want to take him on loan, but if he's not going to get playing time, then what's the point?
Well, we're getting some chatters here hanging out with us. Thanks for joining us, for those of you. And one of our chatters just said Juventus is the best team in the world, and of course Weston McKennie is on that team, and he is an academy product from FC Dallas. So, yeah, cool.
I think he's got the kid right now, if I remember correctly. Him and Cobra.
I want to talk to the Juve people. Like I would love to have like a call in for Juve people, what they think about Weston McKennie, because it seems like he's been pretty well received and done really well. So I would love to have a show where we had all the Juve people call in and we can talk Weston McKennie, and I can share some Clavijo anecdotes from that.
That's some good stuff. Yeah, and so and for those of you watching, it's like you're coming from Italy. Good, welcome. FC Dallas has a great academy, a lot of young prospects, and so it's not impossible to see another academy prospect or two from FC Dallas make their way to Italy. It's possible. Yeah.
The McKinneys, the Cannons, the Richards doing good in Europe because they're ambassadors for the academy. You look at these guys and say, hey, where did they come from? They came from FC Dallas, and you start seeing a record of these guys doing good. Weston's doing good in Juventus. Richards is doing good in Bayern, and now being a regularly on their senior roster. And Cannon is having a great year. Boa Vista, team is not doing good, but he's doing good. So I mean, it's great. It's great to see all these academy kids, regardless of what you have to do. You played else. No, these are academy guys. They're going to Europe. They're not missing a beat. They're elevating their game, and that's great. That's great for FC Dallas' future. There's a lot more talent to be had in FC Dallas, and hopefully we get more, like I said, more players going to Italy, Germany, wherever. I'm down for that.
Yeah. Well, let's begin to wrap up this show tonight. We're just going to talk really quickly about playoffs. We got 4 more games left for FC Dallas, and What does FC Dallas need to get points wise over these last 4 games to secure a playoff spot? What's your gut,
Go
Ben?
ahead, Ben.
Oh, I mean, I think 4 points over the last 4 games will probably be enough to lock up the last spot. Um, 2 home games. You got, of course, Miami coming. The dreaded Breck Victor Ulloa revenge game um, on Wednesday. And then you've got Houston on Saturday, which will be for El Capitan. So, I mean, like, a 6 point week, if you protect your home turf right here, makes everything academic at this point.
Yeah.
Beat an expansion team, beat the orange swamp trash, and then figure out what you can do down the stretch. Maybe like whenever you go to Nashville, throw out the young guns, because you'll be able to play your extended roster at that point in time. Give Burgess some minutes, give Montgomery some minutes, give Nelson some minutes, give Thomas Roberts some minutes. You got so many players, you can just throw them out to play on the slop field in trashy Tennessee, which sucks, awful, and we'll probably beat them. Just to spite everybody else. So there's 9 points, and then you have like a rested first team to go after the Loons and wrap it up with 12 points. And then, maybe you have like a home game to start off. Or maybe like, the team totally falls apart and they get like 1 out of the last 4 and actually miss out on the playoffs to, I don't know, like San Jose again or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I like to have whatever Ben's drinking. That's great.
But you know what?
The most I've been in a long time.
I think 4 points is reasonable, and honestly, like, go defend the home turf this week seriously, and then go to Nashville and lay out your most disrespectful, I hate Casey Keller trash in Nashville, which is a trash town. It should be called Trashville, and show them what's up with having an academy and all that. That's what I'm saying.
I don't mind that hot chicken though. That's the one thing I will say. I don't mind that. Some good barbecue there, but
they fry that in an actual dumpster.
Okay. Well, I'll bring up the dumpster gift there again. Okay.
I give it at least 4 points. In all honesty, I think not just myself, but all FC defense would feel so much better if they could get 6 points from their 2 home games. And then who cares what they do on the road? Because they get 6 points, they'll be a lock in the playoffs. And then those 2 road games that they have left, they'd essentially be playing for positioning at that point, And I think we could all live with that, Defend home turf. I don't care if they win 1-0 or if they, the other team scores an own goal and we win that way. I don't care how they win. Get the 6 points at home, and then now we're talking. I think the fan base would be a lot more relieved to see that. I'd even be happy if they got the 4 points at home. I'd be satisfied. I wouldn't be too excited, but if they get the 4 points at home, that's also good. Again, then you're pretty much talking lower seed playoffs and try to, at least you're going to be a playoff team. And there's no pressure. You can rest people for the road games if you want.
Good.
I would like to see 6 points at home in the next 2 matches, because then, like I said, then we're playing position. Then we're playing for a 4th seed or 3rd seed possibly. I think 4th seed is available. You get, we're talking hosting. So
I'm with you.
That's what I'm like to do.
I'm with you, and I think for me, the draw at Real Salt Lake is at least something for this team again to build upon. To say, all right, it wasn't our best game, But hey, we got a clean sheet on the road. We'll take that. We'll feel a little bit better about ourselves, and we build from there. And then you go in Wednesday night. You just grit out a 1-0 win, a 2-0 win, a 2-1 win, something like that. It's almost like my game plan for Lucci would be work on set pieces. You don't have a lot of practice time to implement the new formation. Look to do what you're comfortable with, and work on set pieces in practice. Try to think about getting something like that, a goal or two from a set piece, 3 points right there. Do the same against Houston. Lock down. I love that. I love that thought. But here's my other thing, Ben. Ben, you'll like this, Ben. There is a positive. There is a positive if the team has that last playoff spot, because in all likelihood they would play Sporting Kansas City, and that would be a scenario.
We're not going to be that lucky because they're going to do points per game. And
they finished 8th. They're playing Seattle. Remember?
Oh, okay.
It's not going by points. It's points per game. And Seattle is number 1.
All right. Well, I saw Kansas City had risen, and it would be delicious to go into Kansas City and win. that would be like a, regardless, just yes, I'll take it. But yeah, I think you got to ask for 6 points this week. I think this team just needs confidence. This team just needs some bounces to go their way, and then anything is possible. But
let me ask something real quick. Let's say FC Dallas makes the playoffs. Who do you want them to play? Who's the one team? I'm not saying win or lose. I'm saying who's the one team that you say that's what I want to see in the first round?
Seattle.
So Seattle for men.
Who do you want? I'm fine with Kansas City. I'd be fine because for whatever reason this team lines up well against Kansas City.
Kansas City's not good enough to be our rival.
I want LAFC. That's what I want in the first round. I think that'd be a great game, and I think that's a winnable game for both teams, and I think that would be a very exciting match.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, they got Vela back, so I kind of want to build up to that one.
No, I think you want to catch LAFC before they get cranking. If you run into them,
it's too late for that. It's too late for that.
I think if you run to them later in the playoffs, I think they'll be closer to full strength. So I think you want to get them now. Even at full strength, I think FC Dallas matches up well with LAFC. I think that'd be a fun game to watch. Honestly, I'd rather be the team be involved in a fun game if they get eliminated than a boring 3-0 loss.
What if Mikey Barrios is saving up his best for the playoffs this year?
I would love it. Fine.
He has shown that he can beat a team on his own before, and that was just like last year or the year before that.
Barrios, how about Ferrero? Maybe Ferrero's been saving it all season to just explode in the playoffs.
There's a lot of players that have been saving it up.
That's right. They've been pulling the Muhammad Ali, just taking the punches, and in the final round they're just gonna unleash it. All right, so
regular season rope-a-dope.
All right, well let's leave it there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for your comments, folks from Italy and beyond. We're glad you're able to join us. We will be back on these new venues in the coming weeks to talk more FC Dallas soccer. Jose, Ben, have a great evening.
Ciao ragazzo, ciao bella.